is going on, hobby family? It is your boy K-Dub. This is K-Dub's High Five, 5 rapid fire questions with your favorite hobby faces. And today we bring in one of the best who's doing such good things in the hobby community. He is Tim, Signatures for Soldiers. Signatures for Soldiers. You see it on the swag right there. How are you doing today, my man?
I'm good. I'm good. Good to be on. And I don't know about one of the premier people in the in the hobby, but I'm in the hobby, so
Well, hey, this is all in my eyes, my friend. So just so you know, in my eyes, I got a lot of respect for what you do, and I'm excited to hear more about it and give you a chance to kind of share your story a little bit. So, how it works: 5 questions, all hobby related. They're going to come at you one right after another. Ready to take on the high five?
yes, sir. Let's go.
All right, man. First question. Kind of walk me through a little bit, kind of who you feel like you are in the sports card world. And then after that, I want to hear a little bit more about how you came up with this idea for Signatures for Soldiers, what it is, how'd you come up with it?
Who am I in the hobby?
Yeah,
I'm just a collector. So
we all are.
I've got the perfect face for radio, so I'm definitely not a social influencer or anything like that. No, just a guy that I have my full-time job and came up with this idea of how to try to raise money for a charity at the time that I was involved with that helps homeless and disabled veterans. Whereas just asking athletes to sign, like anybody my age, you have a bunch of junk wax and, what are you going to do with it? So, just asking athletes, would you sign a couple cards knowing I'm going to sell them? 100% is going to go to the charity and to help homeless and disabled veterans. And really that's how it started. And where it is now is nothing what I envisioned. 9 years later, end of 2024 will be 10 years I'll be doing this, which
Wow.
is
Congrats.
crazy. We've stood up as our own full-fledged nonprofit, so we're a registered 501c3, and the original goal of $500 is well in the rear view mirror, as we're up over $300,000 in total money raised.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a crazy ride.
Yeah.
So when you ask the question, who are you in the hobby? Just a guy. I'm not even important in my own head.
A guy with a dream, man.
Yeah.
Well, explain to me a little bit how you came up with this idea, like for to help like disabled homeless vets. Like, where do you connect with veterans, homeless veterans? Like, how did you get drawn to that side of it?
Yeah, well, my daytime job, I'm a licensed clinical social worker by trade, and I work with veterans on a daily basis. So, as far as work related, that's kind of my passion work wise. And then my wife and I met a gentleman who was starting up a nonprofit in North Carolina to help homeless and disabled veterans. So we, just got involved with that.
Mm.
And then when my job took us out of North Carolina and took us to Savannah, Georgia at the time, I was just trying to think of, how can I continue to help support that charity? And it was kind of like, like I said before, I had all this junk wax, and then, from when I was a kid, and I've been collecting you autographs probably since I was 13, 14 years old.
Mm.
And I was like, let me reach out to some guys, see if they'll sign some stuff, and let's put a goal of, I don't know, $500, because I'm going to get autographs that are only going to be, a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there. It'll take me a while to hit that
Yeah.
$500 mark. So really, that's how it started.
Mm.
Was just really me trying to figure out, how can I continue to give back to a charity that
Yeah.
um, I felt really connected with, and that I truly believed in their mission.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Do you have any military background or, I mean, family in military? Like, what was the draw to the military side of it?
my father served in the Air Force before I was born.
Very cool.
So he had his brief stint in the Air Force. But then, extended family and friends have served either briefly or made a career out of it.
Yeah.
And just honestly, when I was a kid, for whatever reason, I had this really strong interest in the Vietnam War. Not just the war itself, but also kind of the social change that was going on in America at
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
And kind of how all that came into play. So, I mean, I can remember being a kid. I mean, I was probably, I don't know, 12, 13 years old. My parents were like, all right, you get to pick where we go on vacation this year. I was like, all right, we're going to Washington, D.C. to see the Vietnam Memorial.
I was going to ask you if you've been there. That's
Like, really? Yeah, we're going. And
Yeah.
that's what we did. So yeah, I've just always had that interest, and then obviously as I've gotten older, friends and family that have served and still are serving.
For
So
sure. Wow. Right on, man. Right on. Well, that kind of leads us into our second question. When you think about people who've,
hey, wasn't that five right there?
well, it's just kind of the high five. The high five kind of goes where it goes, man. I'm just trying to steer the ship here. So, but second question, like when you think about, let's start with your collecting. When collecting sports cards, junk wax, you're speaking my language. Who would you credit as some of those influences for you? And then we'll talk a little bit about influences when it comes to the nonprofit side of things.
I mean, influences when I was growing up, I mean, I can remember being a kid and a friend of my dad's, he owned a convenience store, and anytime he'd come over to the house, he'd always bring my brothers and I, packs of cards. And,
Love it.
I can remember ripping, 1978, 1979, 1980 tops.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's really kind of where it started for me, so I'm 6, 7 years old at the time,
Yeah.
and then obviously, the mid to late 80s, obviously, the junk wax era, is really when I collected like most folks, and then got away from it when I was in high school and college, other interests, and then get married, settle down, and it's like, yeah, let me get back into dibbing, dabbing, and really, for me, I'm more of an autograph collector than I am sports cards.
Makes sense.
But this is doing what I do now is kind of really got me back into sports cards as well, as far as being able to, like, you show me a 1987 tops, you show me the front of it from 5 miles away, I can tell you it's an 87 tops.
Oh, yes.
Whereas now I'm like, okay, oh well, I think that's a 2021 Prism.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's a 20. Okay, I'm at least in the ballpark now. But yeah, so I've just kind of gotten back into it that way as well. So. Yeah.
Well, when you think about kind of the nonprofit side of things, starting Signatures for Soldiers, kind of who would you say were some of your influences to kind of push you into the direction of that?
The guy that really inspired me was a guy by the name of Mike Dorman. He's the guy that started the original charity that we were supporting. And probably still would be today. Unfortunately, he passed away untimely about 2 years ago. So, that's when my wife and I just kind of got started talking. We're like, okay, we don't know who's coming in behind him, what their direction is going to be for the charity. Do we wait it out? Do we just shut it down? What do we do? And that's when we just kind of went in the direction of going ahead and standing it up as its own nonprofit. As far as kind of giving back to my community and things like that, probably two famous people who really played a big influence in kind of who I am and what my view of the world is now are Dr. Martin Luther King, and Jackie Robinson. Because what a lot of people don't realize is that the civil rights movement really started with Jackie Robinson.
Absolutely.
It started well before Dr. King, well before Malcolm X, well before Rosa Parks. So I mean, those two have really been kind of instrumental in kind of my view of social justice.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of neat to be able to kind of take those two things and marry them together and
sure.
kind of, okay, here's a population I'm really passionate about and really want to help.
Love it, man. I love it. Awesome stuff. All right.
Sorry,
Let's
didn't mean to go into the school education
Oh
piece
man,
of
that's where I'm at, man. I'm a history major in college, so as soon as you started talking, man, I'm loving that, man. But we do want to keep it hobbies, so let's get
it.
to the cards, man. When it comes to your collecting, is there a card out there for you or an item that you've always wanted, the Grail item you've always chased? What is it and why? Maybe it's an autograph or maybe it's a card.
From an autograph perspective, kind of, I already, and sports memorabilia perspective, anything Jackie Robinson,
Okay, right on.
that's, that would be, that would kind of be my grail. Otherwise, I mean, for me, I grew up a Mets fan, mid to late '80s with those teams.
Okay.
So a while back, I started collecting autographs from any player who's ever put on a Mets unit.
Wow.
Yeah. So obviously I'm working towards that. There's a couple hard ones that are in there that I still need to get. Obviously Casey Stengel, Gil Hodges would be the top two off the top of my head that I think that would kind of be those grails for me for
Okay.
that collection. But yeah, I mean that's for me. I love the sport of baseball and just the history of the game. I just love it. I mean, again, other things that when I was a kid, that I was for whatever reason I was just totally enamored with the Brooklyn Dodgers and just would soak in anything and everything. But I just love the history of the game. So like being able to go to the National year after year and see just the history that's on display.
Yeah.
It's just incredible. A couple of years ago, um, one of the auction houses had Heritage had Joe Namath's famous fur coat on
Yeah.
display,
Yeah.
and yeah, so my dad was a Jets fan, and Joe Willie, and so that was really kind of cool to see. So just things like that, I
Yeah.
really love seeing.
Yeah, kind of that niche stuff, man. Not the stuff you see in the on the eBay shops or posted on Twitter, but kind of that niche stuff, man. So that's really cool. That's really neat. So, all right, well, let's get to the product, man. You said you're a child of the '80s into the '90s, collected later '70s. You got all the money in the world. You can rip any box you want. What box are you ripping and why?
61 Fleer.
Okay, why?
You know, I just, again, when I was a kid, it was, getting the Beckett monthly, and you're going through and, what's my card worth and all that. And there's just something about that design, it, and it was, it was first Fleer set and then nothing for 20
Yeah,
years,
yeah,
and it's just, I don't know, there's just something about that. I would just love just to get my hands on a box of that, just fresh pack open and just really go through them. And yeah, that would be really cool. That's just
That was one of the most matter of fact answers I've ever got. Like you knew it, you were there, we were done. It was just
good.
so matter of fact.
Good.
All right,
Yeah,
man.
yeah. It's just one of, like I said, just one of those sets that just has always kind of stood out there for me, even when I was a kid. But man, it's like I'd love to get my hands on 61 Fleer.
Okay, all right, there it is. All right, man. Last question for you here. Let's talk about signatures for soldiers. But you said you started a goal of 500. You're over 300,000 now. As you look forward into 2024, kind of what's the vision for signatures for soldiers? What thoughts are going through your head? Like, what's the plan moving forward into 2024?
I've taken a lot of time recently just to reflect on where signatures for soldiers has been, where it's come, and kind of because I always get asked that question: "What's
Yeah.
next? What's next? What's next?"
Mhm.
Um, I've come to the realization I just need to. I'm going to start to get back to some of the basics because, man, this thing took off so quickly,
Mhm.
so fast, got so much support behind it. I mean, it was, there were days it might as well have been my full-time job because it
Yeah.
was just, I,
Yeah.
it, and I think for me, I think I lost sight of it, of really, what made Signature for Soldiers so special,
Yeah.
and like, um, in the beginning it was just, okay, hey, let's get the $2, $3, $5 cards and just build it that way. And then all of a sudden, get athletes and other influential people on board. And now, I'm getting three, four, $5,000 pieces.
Wow.
And it's like, holy cow. It's like, how did we get here? But, if I stay focused on that, I'm gonna lose my core. I'm
Mm.
gonna
Yeah.
and I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
The support has been tremendous. It's one of the things that I've talked about in previous interviews that I've done is that my wife and I have talked a lot about what makes Signatures for Soldiers so special. I think what makes it special is that a lot of people, we firmly believe people want to have, they
Mm.
just don't know how to have,
Yeah.
or or they think, well, I can only afford $2 or $3, but that's not going to make a difference. So I'm not going to. So they don't do anything.
Yeah.
And Signatures for Soldiers, I think, has become that community where people know where they can go to help. And if it's only $2 today that they can part with, they know their $2 plus the next $2 plus the next $2 plus the next $2. All of a sudden, we're at $300,000.
For sure. Yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
and and that's really kind of what I want this year to focus on. I'm still looking at some creative things to do. There's obviously other avenues to raise additional funds, but I just want to stay true to who we are.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love nothing more than somebody with deep pockets to go, okay, right, blank check, do this full time, and off I go. I mean, that'd be a ton of fun.
Yeah.
But but right now, it's just get back to the basics. Let's get back to the basics. Yeah, well, trust me, well, I'll continue to take those high dollar items and we'll turn them around, but I don't want that to be the
Yeah.
focus. I don't want to outplace the core of our.
For sure. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's apparent that you're doing something right, my friend. So I understand your thought process there of keeping the core, but also, man, take a look at what you've done in 10 years. You've done something truly special. So I'm going to make sure to link all your information in the description of this video. But the last
Okay.
thing here, how can people support? Kind of just any ways that people can come on board. If people got a blank check watching the high five right now, where should they send it?
Go ahead. The last name spelled D as in Victor. No. No, honestly, it's talking about getting back to the basics. Sometimes it's just the simple things of just, retweeting or sharing posts, kind of, hey, check this out, sharing our website, which is signatures, the number 4soldiers.com is our website. You can always contact us through there. Our email is signatures for soldiers, all spelled out, and the 4 is FOR,
Okay.
At yahoo.com. Is the email. Just like I talked about before, sometimes it's not just about the money. Sometimes it's about, hey, hey, did you know about, or let me read, let me posts, let me just continue to get the word out there. Sometimes that's more valuable than anything else.
Sure.
And it's been great. I mean, I just, unfortunately, I come on and I'm the hideous face of the organization.
Stop it. Stop it.
But it's not just Tim today.
Yeah.
Really, there are so many people that have made Signatures for Soldiers what it is. And I'm eternally grateful. It's been an awesome ride. But yeah, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Like I said, our website, email us. If you want to donate something, you can just contact me via email. We can have that discussion and go from there.
Cool.
But yeah, so it's a great ride, and I just really appreciate you having me on today
Sure.
again, talk about this, and it's a lot of fun. We got to get you out to a national one.
Dude, Cleveland, I'm coming, man. I'm coming.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get my shirt signed by you.
oh, you're gonna deface it like that? Come on.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
I
hey,
will.
man.
We'll definitely see you in Cleveland then, because we're going to
Yeah,
be there again this year.
excellent.
Set up.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Cool.
so
Well,
looking forward.
we cleared the list, man. We got a high five. Throw it up. Throw it up at the end. High five. Boom.
Yeah,
Hey, check out Tim, Six for Soldiers on social medias, as well as I will make sure to link the website and the email in the description of this video. You can follow him on social media, SIGS for FOR Soldiers. Make sure to click follow on him. Also, subscribe to the channel and follow me on Twitter or X at Mr. K-Dub. Shout out to our high five endorsers, Midwest Box Breaks, LJ's Card Shop. Reminder to all of you guys, Tim is the good of the hobby. Be the good to yourself. Be the good to the world. Seriously, Tim, I really appreciate the time, and I really love and respect what you do with sports cards to help people who really need it. So keep up the good work, my friend.
thanks, Kyle. Appreciate you, love.
All right, y'all take care. We'll see you next time on the next High Five.